Adrian James, what's your favorite Rocky film and Rip Carl Weathers? I'm glad you asked that. I literally just went, after Carl Weathers died, I went and watched every Rocky and Creed movie. And I've never done this where I watched all of them, the entire thing, Rocky and Creed, in a row. Boy, did I enjoy that. That was so freaking fun. And I'm not going to lie, I cried on a few of the movies, especially concerning Apollo. You know, and Carl Weathers, he stated that Rocky III was his favorite out of the whole thing because he loved Apollo as a character. He thought Apollo was more fleshed out in Rocky III than in the entire franchise. And I agree with him. You know, when I watched Rocky III, I think that's when I felt it the most, just because of him. But then when I got to like Rocky Balboa, wow, man, I forgot how emotional that movie is and how great it is. That's easily one of the best movies of the franchise, when he's going around and he's, you know, revisiting all these moments from his past where he met Adrian, and Adrian was so freaking important to him. And Stallone's performance is just beautiful in the movie, and you can't help but tear up, especially the part where he's in the meatpacking plant with Paulie, and when Rocky says, "I didn't know it would be this hard," you know, it's like this beast inside, and he just starts breaking down. Man, you know, you see all kinds of emotional performances, and you see tears roll down the eyes of actors and actresses, and that's great. They do a great job, but there's just something different about certain performances, and that being one of them. When you watch Stallone's performance in that scene in like Rocky III when Mickey dies, man, this is a guy just completely letting loose and giving it his all. I don't think people give Stallone enough credit for how amazing of an actor he is at times. You know, he loved that character so much, that franchise so much. So I get why he got so upset, you know, recently, a couple of years ago. That's his baby, you know. I skipped over Rocky V, and I saved that. Actually, I started with Rocky II. I don't know why. I was just in the mood to watch Rocky II, because I watch Rocky probably more than any of them. I watch it constantly, like a couple times a year. So I was like, I'm gonna start with Rocky II, because that fight between Rocky and Apollo's a different character in Rocky II than he is in the first one. He is focused. He is serious. If you watch Rocky II, Apollo never smiles one time. He is completely serious that entire movie. He's pretty much back to when he first started. He's hungry again. You know, he wants to prove to the world that it was a fluke that Rocky almost beat him. And he was scary. And I think that was a beautiful acting job by Carl Weathers. But also from a writing standpoint, to write the character in a different way than you did in the first movie, Stallone, man, I think he knocked it out of the park with Apollo, because he could have been redundant and it could have felt like the same movie because he fights the same guy. But it feels like two completely different fighters and setups, you know? Apollo wasn't really taking it that seriously in the first movie. You know, he looked at it like an exhibition, right? I'm going to drop him in 3. And that scene in Rocky II where Duke comes up, you know, he didn't want everybody else to hear, and he comes up to Apollo and he's like, I watched you beat that man like no man's ever been beat before. And he just kept getting up and he just kept coming. Man, that just gives me chills. Every time I watch that scene, it's like, damn, movies can do this? Wow, this is insane. And it was so fun going through that franchise. I did watch Rocky V eventually. I think I might have watched it last. And it's got some nice moments in it, but that's not Rocky in that movie. Stallone's trying something different with the character, I think. And he's even admitted behind the scenes he wasn't into it when he did Rocky V. He did it for a check because they gave him like $15 million. But his heart wasn't in it, you know? And I think it shows. I think when you watch his performance, every other movie in the franchise and the Creed movies, that's Rocky. He is knocking it out of the park. And I think if anything, there's a lesson learned from Rocky V, is that character it seems on paper like it's an easy performance to give, but that just proved right there. You have to follow a certain line with that character. If you take it too far over the line, he's going to turn into a caricature, and it's going to come off as silly. And I think that's what he does in Rocky V. It drives me crazy. I'm like, that's not Rocky when I'm watching this movie. It's weird. And I know he's trying to portray Rocky with brain damage because of what Drago did to him, but I think the performance was not the right performance. I think he should have just stuck with Rocky because it wasn't that big a deal at the end of the day, right? So, it's kind of a crazy plot anyway for him to have that much money and lose everything because of a power of attorney. I know you got to write A to B to get there, but wow, that's a far stretch. He could have done freaking sports commentary. He could have done commercials. Could have done a million things. And look, I'm not the only one that hates Rocky. I don't hate it, but Stallone himself hates the movie. He gave it a 0. Chris, I'm so glad that you and a few people think Rocky 2 is better than Rocky 1. I'll say this, the fight is one of the best fights in the entire franchise. It is, I think, as far as emotion goes, it is the best fight in the franchise. As far as like pure adrenaline goes, let's say it's Rocky 4 fight-wise. I literally just watched both those movies recently. And I can tell you right now, for me, my opinion, watching Rocky 1 is like revisiting an old friend. I could watch that guy walk down the street, bouncing that ball, talking to, the freaking guy in the bar. I could watch that guy do nothing for 4 hours, keeping that cadence, and it wouldn't bother me at all. There's something magical about the first Rocky for me. And Rocky 2 feels more like a character in a movie. You know what I mean? And there's very few characters in our lives that they step outside of the world of movies in your mind, and it's like revisiting an old friend. Very few movies. The first Rocky is that for me. I could literally throw it in right now, and I won't be bored with it. It's just like hanging out with that guy again. I don't know. And I think maybe it's an accident how he was able to capture that, but it's amazing what he was able to capture in the first Rocky. It's insane. The rhythm, the cadence of the character, it just doesn't feel like acting. It feels like a real person. So, but and I love the fight at the end of the first movie, but nothing compares to the fight in the second movie. I'll give you that for sure. What's up, guys? You are at the end of the DD Live clip. What I do is I like to clip these out if I think the topic is important or something that's newsworthy. So thank you for watching, and if you want to watch more, you can go over here, you can go over here, click on one of those, and hopefully I can do this for 20 seconds, which I think I did. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys.